All right, so moving on to the next page. So on this page, we're talking about graphing, and I showed you guys a couple different ways to graph. One with transformations, and one with finding the vertex and then taking points to the left and the right and plugging it in. So most of us just found the vertex and picked points to the left and to the right and did the math for it. But we still need to know the transformations, so I'm going to address that first in problems 4, 5, and 6, and then go into graphing 4, 5, and 6. So first of all, these are all in vertex form, and in vertex form, we have this in our flip book under graphing, but using transformations. And we talked about the different things that these things can do. So let me a little more room to write. So y equals a x minus h. Okay. So the first thing that a can do is it might flip it. And you're going to see the flip if that is a negative. And if it's greater than 1, then what that will do will be to stretch it. And if it's in between 0 and 1, then that will compress it. And so again, the negative makes it flip, and then the number does the stretch or compress. H, remember, we take the opposite. We always do the opposite. And then that will tell us to go left or right. And this one, we're just going to leave it as it is. And that's going to tell us to go up or down. So when I look, all the new things that have been added to the parent function of x squared, when I look at my first one, this 2, that's like the a up here. And since it's bigger than 1, that will make it stretch. And then I'm going to go to the parentheses. I take the opposite, so I see the 4. And since it's positive, that means it's going to go right 4. And on this one, I'm going to leave it as it is. And that means it's going to go down 3. So moving on to number 5, this negative is going to make it flip. And this 4, this is in the house, so I want to take the opposite. I want to look at it as negative 4, and that means it's going to go left 4. And then on the final one, this 1 is in the house, so again, I want to take the opposite. And the negative means it's going to go left 1, and I'll leave this one as it is, and that means it's going to go down. Okay? All right, but let's talk about graphing. So we decided as a class that most of us were most comfortable with finding the vertex, and we would put the vertex in the middle. So I don't know why I have so many little boxes, but I'm just going to kind of write in general. So x and y, and I'm going to put the vertex in the middle. So the vertex, we always do the opposite. So it's 4. Notice that's the 4 we have here. And then the other one as is, so negative 3. And then what we need to do are pick numbers bigger than 4. So I'll use 5 and 6, and then I'll go smaller with 3 and 2. And now I want to pick either 2 and 3 or 5 and 6 and put them into my original problem, do the math, and see what happens when I put 5 in and when I put 6 in. So starting with that, let's put the 5 in. So let's see, I'll just try to squish it in right here for now. So 2, and then we're going to do 5 minus 4. I'll square it, and then minus 3. So again, the x is just replaced with 5, and then I'm going to go through and do the math. So the first thing I'm going to do are the parentheses. So 5 take away 4 is 1. And then I'm going to take the 1, and I'm going to use the exponent because exponents go next. So 1 squared is 1. And then I'm going to take that 1, and now I'm going to do the multiplying. So 1 times 2. And from this whole first part, I get 2. And then 2 take away the 3 is negative 1. So with 5, I get negative 1, which means 3 is negative 1. And now I'm going to put 6 in. So I'm just going to find a space. I'm going to move up above and do this one. So I'll put here 2 and then 6 minus 4 squared and subtract 3 to get y. So again, I'm going to start with parentheses. 6 minus 4 is 2. Then I'm going to take that 2 and square it. You do exponents after parentheses, so 2 squared is 4. After exponent is the multiplying, so 4 times 2 is 8. So again, from this whole thing, I get 8, and then 8, take away that 3, my y is going to be 5. And so for 6, it's 5, and for 2, it's 5. And now I'm going to go and graph this. So I always start with the vertex. So I'm going to go over 4 and down 3 and get right there. And sometimes it helps to draw that axis of symmetry so you can see the balance. But I'm going to go over 5, down 1. And then here's its partner point. There's the 3, -1. And then I'll go over 6 and I'll go up to 5. And then I can get its partner point, which is the 2, 5. And then I can connect them and get my U. All right, moving on to the next one. So again, I'm going to start with the vertex. So the vertex is, usually I need something added on the end. So if I have to add a number, I'm going to add 0 because that doesn't change it. Adding by 0 keeps it the same. So my vertex is going to be the opposite of what's in the house. So that's -4 and then 0. So again, this is my vertex. And now I got to pick numbers bigger than -4. So I'll pick -3 and -2. And then I want to pick smaller. So -5 and -6. Again, these are my x's and we'll figure out the y's. So what I'm going to start first is I'm going to put, we've always tend to do the numbers on the right. So I'm going to put -3 in for x and -2 in for x. So starting with that, to get y, that negative is actually like a -1 in front, and then x, I'll put a -3. Again, where I'm looking is just right up here. Okay, and then I'll add 4, square that, and then I'm not going to put the +0. I don't need to. I'm just going to work with the actual original equation. I only put the +0 in so we could see the vertex. So going through the math, start with my parentheses, order of operations. Here I get 1. And then after parentheses in order of operations, you do the exponent. So 1 squared is 1. And then I'm going to take the 1 times the -1 in front, do my multiplying, and when I'm done, I get y to be -1. So you get -1 with the 3, -3, sorry, and with the -5. Those would be the partner points. And then I'm just going to find another spot. So, you know, not very well organized here. So let's do the next one. Let's do, let's put in the -2. So I'm going to come up here, see the star. And again, to get y, I'm going to take the negative, which is like a -1, and I'm going to put -2 in. I'm going to add 4 and square it. So start with my parentheses. -2 plus 4 is 2. Do the exponent. 2 squared is 4. And now multiply the 4 with that -1. And when you're done, you get y to be -4. So it's going to be -4 for -2 and for -6. And now I'm going to graph them. So again, I'm going to start with my vertex 4, 0 right there. Draw that axis of symmetry if that helps. And then I'm going to go over to, oops, sorry. Wrong, erase that, -4, 0. And I'm going to get -3, -1. And here's that axis of symmetry. And then here's its partner point, -5, -1. And then for -2, I'll go down to -4. And then here's its partner point of -6, -4. And now that I have all my points, I'm going to make my U. And this one is upside down. And we knew it was going to be upside down because we already dressed that up here in this flip. All right, last one to graph. I'm going to scoot this over a little bit. All right, so the last one to graph, I'm going to take my vertex. And the vertex is the opposite. So again, for x and for y, I'm going to use -1 and -2. And then I'm going to pick numbers bigger. So I'll do 0 and 1. And then I'll pick smaller. So -2 and -3. And I'm going to put the bigger numbers in, 0 and 1. So starting with the 0, I'll take y equals, instead of x, I'll put 0. And here go my order of operations. So 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1. And then I'll take that 1 and I'll subtract 2, and when I'm done I get -1. So if x is 0, y is -1, and same for -2. And now I'm going to put y in there, or sorry, 1 in there. So now it's 1 plus 1 squared, take away 2. So order of operations, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 squared is 4, and then I'll take that 4 and subtract 2, and I'll get 2. So for 1, y is 2, and also for -3. So I'm going to start with my vertex, graph -1, -2, And then here's my axis of symmetry. So here's 0, -1, and its partner point, -2, -1, and then I'm going to have 1, 2, and then its partner point, -3, 2. And then just connect them, and you got your U. So a lot of writing on that one. All right, last one on this page. So the graphs of two functions, f of x. So f of x is this one. And g of x, so g of x is the blue one. And I just want to know what happened to f of x to turn it into g of x. So I need one point that I can kind of follow consistently, and that is going to be the vertex. So how do I get from here to here? And you just have to tell me, is it going left or right and how many, and up or down how many. So to get from, again, this point to this point, I had to go left 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I had to go down 1, 2, 3. And that is all I'm looking for in that problem. Okay, we're going to move on to the final section.